Welcome to Shoe Talk for April 2025, and it has been a month. I feel like I start these videos saying that all the time, but April really has been a month. There's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, mostly family stuff, and that's kept me from running. I think the most days off I've had any month in maybe years. This month I had 2 weeks this week where I had 2 days off from running, and that was just due to family obligations and some travel. None of it's bad, just life happens sometimes. We've also had some crazy weather here. We've had some unseasonably cold weather, like winter type weather. I'm talking around 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and extremely windy and rainy. And then we've had some super hot summer-like days, above 30 degrees Celsius, upper 80s Fahrenheit, and very humid. So it's quite a range of running. Additionally, all of the routes that I run on a regular basis, and if you follow me on Strava, you'll see this, they all have construction on them all at the same time. So none of them are smooth sailing, which is super frustrating. I literally can't go anywhere. Sometimes there'll be construction on one, so I have like 3 or 4 others that I can go to, but now all of them are bombarded with construction. It's all road construction too, which is, they're just digging up everything everywhere. So you got to make do, you got to get through it. So there's been a lot of challenges this month, but here we are. We got through the month. It was a great month for the channel, great month for content, great month for shoes. So let's get into it. And starting off with what was my biggest surprise really right now is this shoe, the Atreyu Daily Trainer 2. The surprise here is not that this shoe is good, it is excellent. This is one of the best trainers, daily trainers, performance trainers, however you want to look at this shoe that I've ever run in. It's more that this shoe exists. I was always a fan of this shoe, the Atreyu base model. In fact, I reviewed it on this channel, though it wasn't optimal review because it was a shoe that was quite old at the time, and it was one of my early reviews, and I didn't store the shoe very well. So it wasn't optimal, but still it was kind of a nostalgic trip back to that shoe. I spent a ton of time in the early days of Atreyu in those original base models. I love them. And when Michael said that he was going to discontinue the base model for a bunch of reasons, but durability was one of the big ones, I was really sad because that to me was an end of an era. That was one of the most important shoes in running. I actually DM'd him on Instagram saying, you know what, you should look at CPU outsoles. And I referenced this shoe, the Adidas Adios 9. The outsole on this shoe is great. And that's going to give you the durability that you want the base model to have. Michael replied kind of laughing and kind of clued me into what he's doing, showed me the wonderful outsole on this shoe, that it is CPU outsole. So we were very much on the same wavelength. I did my initial 50-mile review of this shoe back in April, and I've spent a ton of time in it since. I'm probably close to about 90 miles now in this shoe, and I have no faults about this shoe. It is excellent. And approaching 100 miles, this is my right shoe, there's zero wear on this outsole. At this point, CPU outsoles are just obviously the best from a durability standpoint, a best in feel standpoint, and a best in just overall cosmetics and performance because they just give you a ton of options. So really impressed with this shoe. Going to spend a lot more time on this shoe. There'll be some content around this shoe in May. And yes, one of those will be this comparison, which I know a lot of people are asking about, the Daily Trainer 2 versus the Peg Plus. That seems like a very obvious one. That is coming next month in May. The next shoe that I've spent a ton of time in this month is this shoe, the Adidas Adios 9. Now, for all my American viewers, which is the bulk of you, I know this shoe isn't available in the US right now. I don't know why. Adidas's merchandising in 2025 is an absolute disaster. I have no idea what they're doing. They're promoting certain shoes all over the place, fast culture, and the shoes that actually really matter, like this one, it's probably the best shoe that they're making right now, most people can't get, which is super frustrating. But I am thoroughly impressed with this shoe. I am now over 100 miles in this shoe. Cosmetics-wise, there's absolutely no changes in this shoe. The outsole on this shoe, it is yellowing because this is a clear CPU outsole, and you can see some of the berries I run over quite a lot on my routes here stain it. But at over 100 miles now, there is absolutely zero wear on this outsole. And this is my right shoe. This is the one I'm rough on. Zero wear, nothing. And the grip of this shoe is outstanding. This has become my de facto wet weather rain shoe. I love the way this shoe grips the asphalt in the rain. Just an excellent shoe. There's going to be a lot more content about this shoe through the rest of the year because I think this is probably Adidas's best running shoe, but also I think it's their best trainer right now. This isn't a trainer, it's a race shoe, but given the state of Adidas's trainers right now and how they actually compare to this shoe, the Adios Pro 4, this is the trainer to this shoe. If you want to learn how to run in this shoe, you want to build the foot strength for this shoe, you need to be running in this shoe. You need to be doing at least tempo in this shoe. You can do daily training in another shoe if you need more shoe, but you need to at least do tempo in this shoe so that you can run effectively in this shoe. I'm going to talk about the issue with this shoe, the Adios Pro 4, the carbon rods, the foam, a lot of stuff in this shoe. I'm going to talk more about that in May or June, so stay tuned for that. I've got some design and engineering thoughts about the future of this shoe and where Adidas is taking this shoe, but I'm impressed with this shoe. I'm impressed with this shoe. I actually really love this shoe. The foam in this shoe is the same between these two shoes. Over 100 miles now in this shoe, I'm getting zero foam issues. There's no packing in the forefoot, in the heel. This shoe feels as fresh as it did when it was new. And when I go from this shoe to this shoe, I get a direct sort of similarity in the way the foam feels, but also how my foot is flexing and how I'm actually activating my foot to run in both these shoes. These are the best two shoes Adidas is making right now. And if you're struggling to get up to speed with this shoe, I would recommend spending time in this shoe. The other shoe I've been spending the most time in this month is this shoe, the Nike Vomero 18, which is a shoe that's very much out of my wheelhouse. Max Cushion Trainer is not the type of shoe I typically go for, but I've really been enjoying this. I've been enjoying the ability to put this shoe on and go out and get a easy cruising run done with no fuss. It just works. The other thing I really love about this shoe is just how it protects my feet, my legs, the recovery aspects of this. Something I'm going to be talking about on this channel starting in May. I'll have a video getting into the in-depth on that, so stay tuned for that. And this has been one of the shoes that I've been really leaning on for just recovery, just a shoe that will protect my feet and legs and really just let me get in the volume that I want to get in. It's an excellent shoe. I'm going to be spending quite a bit more time in this shoe over the summer. Though running in this shoe has made me appreciate the lower stack shoes like the two I just talked about, the Atreyu Daily Trainer 2 and the Adios 9. But when I just want to put on a shoe and cruise, this is excellent. And I've really, really appreciated the design of this. And I'm glad to see this shoe is doing quite well. I see them around here in Taipei quite a bit. I've seen them on runners quite a bit. And from a marketing standpoint, Nike is really going all in on this shoe. So it's good to see. I think this is a shoe that Nike needed. They needed to do well, and I think they did very, very well with this shoe. There were a lot of big shoes announced in April. A bunch I've already talked about. The Adidas Evo 2 is one I've talked about in a few videos now. There'll probably be another video about that shoe at some point in May. But another Adidas that's quite important that I know a lot of people are looking for is this shoe, the Boston 13. This was finally announced. It had a limited release at the Boston Marathon a few weeks ago. And overall, I think the early reviews and impressions of this shoe are a bit mixed. Now, personally, I'm not that excited about this shoe. I don't really particularly want to run in this shoe, but I am going to cover it. I do think it's really important for me to run in because this is technically in the Adidas lineup, the Tempo Trainer. This is a shoe that goes between the Daily Trainer and the Adios Pro 4, the consumer race model. And this shoe should train you and train your feet to be able to run in the Adios Pro 4, which is a huge change from the Adios Pro 3. However, the early reviews seem a little bit mixed about what's actually going on with this shoe. A couple Adidas reps and people in various videos have confirmed that the Lightstrike Pro foam in the Boston 13 is the new formula. However, it still has Lightstrike 2.0 in it, which again is going to mute any sort of flexibility and softness of the new Lightstrike Pro. So it doesn't really matter what Lightstrike Pro is in this shoe because Lightstrike 2.0 is there. So it's a tempo trainer. That's fine that it's going to mute it, but it just seems like there's too much Lightstrike to foam and you're not going to get the feel of the Lightstrike Pro foam. typical Boston problem. Boston 12 was a very firm, very stiff shoe. I know a lot of people love that, and based on the early reviews, I think it seems like this shoe is more of the same. Some people are saying it's even stiffer than the Boston 12, which is crazy because that was one of the stiffest, firmest shoes I can think of in recent memory. But again, I know some people love that. So I will try to get a pair of these in May, though it seems like the bigger launch is in June, so it might not be till June that I run in this shoe. But I do want to cover this shoe, and there's a lot of technical stuff I want to get into about this shoe and the overall Adizero lineup. And yet another video where I need to mention this shoe, the Puma Fast R Nitro Elite 3. This has been the darling of all of the running shoe headlines for April. And, you know, deservedly so. It seems like it's a quite good shoe. Now that more shoe tubers are getting this, it seems positive across the board. I've stated that I do want to get a pair of these. We'll see about that because I don't know if I'll ever see this shoe at retail here in Taiwan. But we'll see. It may not be immediate that I get a pair of these, but I will keep an eye on it for the rest of the year. But this shoe does seem to be the real deal. The reviews are pretty glowingly positive. The race results for it have been very good. So it's exciting to see this shoe doing so well. I think Puma's needed a real elite level super shoe, and they finally got it here, and that's really great to see. But there was one more shoe that was announced in April, and this one I am actually genuinely excited about, and it's this shoe, the Asics MZ Type 1 or Type 2, or what I've seen referred to as the MetaLite. This image is the image from the World Athletics database for prototypes. So this isn't the final shoe, but it's generally this shoe. This is supposedly Asics' version of the Evo 1. This is their elite level, all the cutting edge tech in one shoe to compete at that level. And I think it's actually quite exciting. The thing that Asics is really pushing about this shoe is the weight, 129 grams. As you can see here, that makes it by far the lightest of the elite level super shoes, or just super shoes in general, that are currently on the market, much lighter than the Metaspeed Paris series. And that's a super lightweight shoe. We need to see how much durability is in there or what other compromises were made to make a shoe that lightweight, because that is ridiculously lightweight. The other thing about this shoe is it has a new foam in it. Asics is calling it FFLeap foam, which, given Asics' foam names, which are really hard to say, it's actually not a bad name. I actually quite like the name. I expect to stumble over saying it, though, in many videos, which I do with FF Turbo and FF Blast. But, you know, this is their new, more open, more bouncy, softer foam, something like what Adidas has done with New Light Strike Pro, or what Saucony has done with their super squishy soft foam. This is in that realm, too. Now, Asics has an event in Tokyo, co-sponsored with World Athletics, called the Tokyo Race or Tokyo Speed Race. I think this is two things. I think it is going to be a bit of a launch party for this new shoe. They've already teased this on their Instagram, but it's also to get the summer going with the build up to the World Championships that are also in Tokyo in September. So it should be really interesting. But after May 3rd, we should know more about this shoe, but I'm quite excited about this one. And the fact that it's an Asics shoe means I should be able to get it here. Because we're so close to Japan, and Taiwan and Japan have such a relationship, generally what's released by Asics in Japan is released same day here, and we get a lot of the same Japanese stock here in Taiwan, because Asics is huge here in Taiwan. So I should be able to find this one. I'm definitely going to look for it, and we'll see. I am quite excited about this shoe. And looking ahead to content in May, one thing I've sort of alluded to in this video is that I'm spending more time in less shoes. I'm trying to cover less shoes, or cover shoes only that I'm interested in. I've talked about that on this channel. I don't want to cover every shoe. I just want to cover what I'm interested in. And even that, I'm focusing in on shoes I'm really interested in. And I'm spending more time in those. I really want to get to longer durability reviews on them, well past 100 miles. So I'm going to continue running in the shoes I talked about in this video. There'll be a couple I add into this rotation, and just really working on durability and working on my training. I'll make a video in May talking about what I'm doing there. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, you can kind of see that. I've talked a little bit about it there. And if you follow me on Strava, you'll see that on day-to-day workout as well. So exciting stuff coming up in May. I've got a few surprises. I've got something that I've been working on launching for a while now. That will be coming. And some new content on this channel, some new types of content. So stay tuned for that. Exciting times ahead. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you find this content useful, consider subscribing. You'll see more content from me pop up in your feed. If not, drop a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.